Good morning. I'm Melissa Wren. I'm a registered dietitian, and I also call myself the One-Armed Warrior. So today I want to talk about temptations and emotional eating, because when I posted the question earlier this week on Facebook about what are some of the pain points that nurses deal with in terms of being able to eat healthy, one of the most common things I kept hearing over and over was about temptation, the food that's brought in. How to overcome the temptation to go grab the pizza in the break room or to grab the sweets. Well, let me set the stage for you. About 20 years ago, I started working in healthcare. And what I thought when I started working in healthcare was that I would be surrounded by many people who were very health conscious and very fit and enjoyed exercise and enjoyed healthy eating. And what I tended to find very quickly was that people are challenged by their situation, and there's a lot of temptations in the workplace, and I'm going to guess this happens everywhere. And I'd love to hear from you. If you've worked in schools or you've worked in other type of corporate jobs, is this the same temptation for you? I'm guessing it is. I'm guessing it's not just for nurses and healthcare providers. But anyways, so I was doing a little bit of research about temptations and just emotional eating, and I've worked with people over the years on that, but I wanted to kind of give you some ideas on things you could do to help overcome those temptations. So when are we tempted? Well, basically when, hello Connie, when we're vulnerable, when we're hungry, when we're tired, we're sick, we're stressed. For nurses especially, I think it's when they have no idea when they're going to get their next break. So, a lot of times if they see food, they just go for it. And I think that's a very common thing in healthcare, or maybe even teachers. I mean, I'm seeing as a sub that there's a lot of concerns, like, when are you going to get a break? Or, I mean, gosh, you can't even go to the bathroom without having somebody watch your class if you're with younger kids. So I bet this happens a lot. But, we do a lot of mindless eating too, whether it's in the workplace or at home. And I came up with kind of a list of some areas, but when we're busy, when we're bored, when we're stressed, when we're lacking time, and I think that happens a lot at work, we're tempted by the food that's around us, so ding, ding, ding on all the food that's brought into the workplace. When we're nervous, when we're sad, when we're happy, when other people are eating. There's my biggest trigger, is when other people are eating around you. It's so hard not to eat yourself. That's what I find. Do you agree with that? If you're offered food as a thank you, gosh, all those times, I mean, I gotta tell you, as a dietitian, people don't usually bring you food because they think you're the food police. But all those nurses would get food, and then of course it's sitting at the nurse's station, it's sitting in the break room. It's very easy to go grab food. Celebrations. Oh my gosh, all the nurses, I would see like night shift especially, I saw this a lot, they would have their own little celebrations, Cinco de Mayo celebration, 4th of July celebration, Memorial Day, you name it. It was just, food was a celebration and a way to kind of break up the monotony of work. You see food in the break room. Okay, so I started going to the bathroom. Hi, Laura. I started going to the bathroom, like in the hallway, like the one where visitors could use instead of the break room, because that was one way I was able to kind of break that habit of walking through the break room. And it was always sweets like donuts or cake or cookies, or there's always something in a break room. There just is. So I kind of broke that habit there. Another way we might eat just out of temptation and boredom too is just procrastinating. I find myself doing that a lot. Rather than working on a task I don't really want to, I'll go grab something to snack on. And then also, just like I said, the nurse's station. I just think there's so much food just left. And like I said, in other workplaces too, probably the same thing where there's a break room for teachers or in your corporation for the same thing to happen. So, at home, I find one of the biggest things that was tempting me here was in the evenings watching TV. So it was just a habit that I broke. I got rid of that habit. I rarely watch TV. And that kind of broke that habit that I did of eating just because I'm watching TV, or eating because others are eating at that time too. So if you're facing those temptations, think about what's triggering you. Like, what are the things that are happening? How do you overcome the emotional eating? Well, I think you have to have a plan, number one. And know your why. And that's taken me a long time to really kind of delve into deeply. But I think it's a lot of it for me is my own health and just thinking about wanting to be there with my kids, having a long life, enjoying life. And I don't think when you are at a weight that you're not comfortable at, that you enjoy life nearly as much as you do if you are living your best life. So, and I'm not saying you have to be at an ideal weight to have your best life, but I just think for myself, I find I'm a much happier person if I'm living that way. If I'm feeling good physically, then I feel good mentally. So it's definitely a combination thing. So know your why. Figure out what that why is. Another thing you could do, drink 2 to 3 glasses of water before you eat. That's definitely something that can help kind of delay that instant need to start grabbing food and eating, and it helps fill your belly up a little bit beforehand. Find other things to do. I mean, certainly it's easier at home than at work, but you break yourself from that. Like I said, that habit of going in the break room, or something at the nurse's station, finding a little bit of a distraction to keep you from that. And asking yourself, are you really hungry when you're eating that? Most of the time when we eat, we aren't. We're just doing it out of habit or because it's there. At home, what I'd suggest is have a list of things you can do otherwise. So whether it's painting your nails, whether it's going for a walk, whatever that might be, find some other coping methods. Call a friend. I don't know, go outside for a few minutes, play with your kids, something that will distract you, even for 20 minutes, they say. If you distract yourself for 20 minutes from eating, your chances of just doing it out of habit are going to be greatly decreased. So have that list. You post it on the fridge, maybe 10 to 20 things I can do rather than eat. Connie, I can't see all of your, I don't know if I can scroll, I don't know. I've never scrolled on live, but okay, you said, oops. Well, I've got a light thing that's I can't see it all, but I'll get back with you guys. I'll read your comments later and look at that. I've got a light ring to try to give me a little bit better light, so it's covering up your comment. Let's see, commit to only eating when you're hungry. That's a hard one, but if you can do that when you actually feel like hunger pains, I think that's huge for you. And here's an interesting thing. I heard this a couple weeks ago in my mastermind group. 90% of the things we do throughout the day are done out of habit. Think about that. We do so many things just out of pure habit only. Eating is definitely one of those things that we do. It's a certain time of day we eat. I'm guilty of that. I have kind of a very rigid type thought process when it comes to like dinner time, that it's always at a certain time. Whether I'm hungry or not, it just seems to kind of happen that way. So if it's a destructive habit to you, then figure out some alternatives to ways you can overcome that. I will say though, one thing that has really helped, I remember back when I was working in the hospital and I got to that point where I knew my why, I knew why I was doing this, why I was trying to live healthier. I remember when I could sit at a desk with candy surrounding me, or I remember Kathy, my coworker, had a cupcake sitting. I mean, I just remember this so much. I think when you hit those moments in your life when it's just kind of an aha moment, you remember it. But I remember being able to sit there and there was a cupcake. It was chocolate cupcake with like a chocolate ganache frosting, and it had a chocolate like heart on top of it. I even took a picture of it because I thought it was one of those moments I just knew I'd remember. But I could sit there and it not tempt me. That's hard. It takes a while to get to that point of saying to yourself, I'm worth it. That cupcake will taste good for about 5 seconds and then I'm going to regret it. So here's what I hear a lot of nurses tell me. They go to the break room and they see a dessert in there and it's cake and they just can't pass it up, and it was oh so good. But then they're telling me, a week later they don't feel good, they're tired, they're regretting that. So think before you do it. Take a moment and just say, is this really truly worth it? Is it something that I could have, a week from now? Or is it something that someone has homemade that I'll probably never have again? That makes a difference too, if you can really say that. The other thing is usually a few bites. Once you start getting into the habit of eating healthier, a few bites are going to satisfy your sweet tooth or that craving versus large portions. So, other things you can do, create a meal plan. Bring your meals and snacks to work. Now, I did have somebody tell me even when they do that, sometimes it's really tempting when your nurses go to order carry out, and they order Chinese or something, and hey, I even have my meal with me, but I decided I'd rather have that. I think that just comes back to knowing your why and why you're trying to live a healthier life. Skip the sugar. I mean, if you can get into the habit of skipping the sugary foods that people bring in, which is probably, I don't know, 90% of what people bring in, but if you can get in that habit of skipping that stuff, I think that's huge. Drinking more water, working out, because I will tell you, when you work out on a regular basis, you don't want to screw it up with a bunch of junk. You just don't. And that's one thing I can say over the course of time has, kind of played into my thought process is, oh gosh, I burned 400 calories working out today. I don't want to kill that with one donut or something else. So think about that too. Celebrate your small wins. Like that picture I posted on Facebook. Victory. It felt like victory in my mind that I actually had overcome a huge challenge in my life. Clean the house out of junk food. I mean, I get it. I've got kids and a husband that love it. But if there's something that truly tempts you and doesn't, the others enjoy, but it doesn't tempt you, okay, have that in the house. But if there's something, let's say you're an ice cream addict, don't have the ice cream in the house, or make it a special occasion and take your family out for ice cream versus having it in the house. So little things like that. But what I'd love to know from you guys, what helps you with emotional eating? Those of you who've kind of overcome that, what's been your number one tip? I'd love to know from you, because you guys are the experts. When you've overcome something, you know just as much as I do, if not more. So I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Share this. If there's somebody that you think would benefit from that, please share it as well. And I'll be putting up a blog post with some tips as well later today, so be on the lookout for that. Thanks guys for joining me. Have a great day.